Rush Cyberfunk is a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio. There's been a few of these over the years, and although some of them do capture the spirit of the game, few of them stand out. Not only does Cyberfunk succeed in recreating Jet Set Radio Future, it improves on it in a few ways. One of the key differences from other revival attempts is that the game has its own identity. It takes clear inspiration from Jet Set Radio, but isn't afraid to deviate. While throughout this video I will be referring to Jet Set Radio as a point of comparison, I want to stress that this game isn't just a carbon copy. Cyberfunk manages to capture the spirit of Jet Set Radio while still setting itself apart. One of the areas where the inspiration is clearest is in the visuals. The game uses a highly stylized, cel-shaded art style with an urban setting and expressive character designs. The presentation has a lot of the craziness of Jet Set Radio, but makes more of an effort to present a cohesive world. Every district has some justification for existing and makes sense within the larger context of the city. Although the character designs are distinct, there aren't many of them. For most of the game you only have 3 playable characters. The most memorable character design was the main villain. At the very beginning of the game, he cuts someone's head off by throwing a vinyl record at them. DJ Cyber is so over the top that he makes the rest of the cast look tame by comparison. Each level has a distinct look and colour palette. The levels in this game are huge, with tons of interconnected areas and verticality. Every section has a great flow to it, and by the time you've completed the level, you'll find many paths to jump from section to section. Few of Cyberfunk's levels have long linear paths, instead opting for a more open design. Each level is littered with secrets and collectibles, making exploring feel rewarding. These collectibles come in the form of music tracks, graffiti designs, and character outfits. There are also mail rooms that can be opened by passing a set of robot statues in a single combo. This side content serves to both break up the main story and as a form of post-game. It's rare for me to keep playing a game after the credits, but Cyberfunk is so enjoyable to play that I put a ton of hours in after the story ended. As you'd probably expect, Cyberfunk's core gameplay is built around skating. In addition to inline skates, you can now also choose to ride a skateboard or BMX. There are some gameplay differences between the options, but they're incredibly minor. It's mostly a cosmetic choice. The movement is incredibly fluid and smooth to control. The addition of an air dash makes racking up long combos easy. The movement is a ton more forgiving than Jet Set Radio, which makes the gameplay less about platforming and more about trying to complete large sections of the level without breaking your combo. Racking up combos of hundreds of tricks is part of what makes the levels flow so well. Every new surface you skate on increases your combo multiplier, encouraging you to move around the level to rack up more score. This ease of movement can make it feel a little too easy to keep a combo going, but the upside is that the gameplay feels so good. You're always moving around the level doing a long combo, hunting down collectibles or graffiti spots. The long combos mean you're rarely stationary, the gameplay has no downtime. The graffiti mechanics match this philosophy. When you reach a graffiti spot and press the spray button, you're given a set of points which you draw between using the analog stick. The shape you draw determines which graffiti you tag the spot with. Unlike Jet Set Radio where you had to go back to the hub to change graffiti, in Cyberfunk you can choose what you want to put where on the fly. This makes unlocking new graffiti feel like a reward, rather than something you pick once and never think about again. Crucially, spraying graffiti is easy so it never interrupts the flow. It doesn't break your combo, and like Future, you can spray graffiti while in the air or grinding, without interrupting whatever you were doing. One of the most memorable parts of Jet Set Radio was the soundtrack. Music is of course very subjective. Some of my least favourite songs on Cyberfunk's soundtrack feature on the early chapter playlists. Thankfully, after the first couple of chapters I found myself loving the music. You eventually get the ability to play songs individually, which helps to avoid the songs you don't like. The game features a good number of tracks which fit with the classic Jet Set Radio sound, including a few by Hideki Naganuma. There's also a track by Too Mellow, who had a Jet Set Radio inspired album back in 2018 that was very popular in the community. Adding a track by them is a nice touch. In addition to the classic Jet Set Radio sound, there's also some modern hip-hop and electronic inspired tracks. The soundtrack of this game is varied, but I found it to be consistently good with only a few tracks I disliked. A few of the tracks have even made their way onto some of my playlists. Despite my concerns with some of the earlier songs, I loved Cyberfunk's soundtrack. Story is one of the areas where Cyberfunk diverges most from the Jet Set Radio games. For one, the story is somewhat coherent here, rather than whatever was going on in Future. The game also doesn't really have the whole graffiti is art message. In fact, the game isn't really about graffiti at all. There are some themes of self-expression and rebelling against a corrupt system, but that's about where the story connections end. Your character is part of the Bomb Rush gang, and you're trying to take over other gangs' turf to go all city. All city seems to mean that you control every neighbourhood in the city. There's also a B-plot about the main character having amnesia. It's a fairly loose premise, but it does give some motivation and context for the gameplay. It's okay, but it's mostly set dressing. Rush Cyberfunk is a fantastic game. As a lifelong Jet Set Radio fan, it hit the spot perfectly. The gameplay flows so well that I found myself skating around New Amsterdam long after I beat the main story. If you're a fan of Jet Set Radio Future, this game is truly a must play. This game has some of the best movement in any game I've played. Even if you've never played Jet Set Radio, I highly recommend checking this game out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, it helps the channel out a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.